your hopes and dreams and all the possibilities. It ain't rocket surgery, but maybe it is. Come on down, we're gonna sit around. We're gonna get into your business. Get into your business. Get into your business.
Welcome to the Small Business Miracles Podcast. My name is Jeff Randolph. This small business podcast is brought to you by EAG Advertising and Marketing. We're going to talk about marketing. We're also here to celebrate entrepreneurs and small businesses, and I have somebody who knows some stuff about small businesses right here with me today, Steve Hammond, Chief Operating Officer for Leading Edge Safety. Steve, welcome to the show.
Very good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me on the show. Thank you.
We're going to talk about leading edge safety. And before we even get into the business and talk about kind of the thing you do, there's an origin story for how the company came to be. And I was hoping you could kind of get into the origin story, how Leading Edge happened.
Absolutely. Well, my boss, our CEO, Brent Smith, has spent his entire life on roofs. He's grew up on a roof since he was 12 years old, actually. His dad owned a roofing company.
Okay, I was going to say, this wasn't a disciplinary kind of thing.
He's
not on the roof because he was... Okay, right.
But maybe some of the time. So anyway, when he was, I think in his early 20s, he was up on a roof doing a job on a commercial roof. Mm-hmm. And one of his coworkers and very close friend was walking on that roof. And one of the PVC membranes was hanging over the edge by about 6 to 12 inches. That coworker's alarm went off. So his friend, that coworker, walked over to the edge in an effort to go turn off his alarm. Mm-mm. Mistakenly the PVC membrane for what he thought was a solid surface of roof, took a step on it, and unfortunately they were 26 feet up and he went right over the edge, and Brent watched this whole thing happen. Yeah. Unfortunately, the person, he did live,
good.
But his life physically has been changed and altered forever. And so that was, needless to say, very impactful, very devastating to Brent. So not only did he kind of scratch his head and said that this can't happen, in addition to that normal human reaction, the company, his dad's company, also ran into some liability issues where the insurance company said, no more. We will not provide you with liability insurance unless you can figure out a way to tie off your workers so that this never happens again. And Brent's dad said, well, how are we going to do that? Yeah. And the insurance company said, I don't know, but that's on you, and we're not going to insure you until you do. So Brent and his dad said there has got to be a way to put on a harness, get a tether, and tie off our workers. Well, one idea, and kind of a traditional way, is to get an engineer to identify and make sure the structure and the surface will accept and permanently bolt in a roof anchor point. If you have the time and if you're willing to put holes in the roof and you have an unlimited budget, that is an okay solution. It's not very mobile because you tie off to this permanent anchor point, and then as long as the tether is as far as you can go, and you don't want it to be too long, because if you do go over the edge, then you swing way too far or you hit the ground.
Right.
And OSHA has incorporated some regulations that you cannot, if you do go over the edge, that tether can't be greater than 6 feet. So when you do the math, you would have to have an anchor point approximately every 30 feet. That is a lot of holes in a roof, and there's got to be a better way. So Brent scratched his head, did some digging, and he said, what if there was like a very heavy, substantial anchor, but it was mobile? And they got closer, just with that sentence got them closer. And then they did some trials and tribulations and tied some things onto a square box of heavy weights, but it still pulled and it came toward the leading edge. And they said, well, what if this thing was substantial and had an engagement arm that would dig itself into the substrate, and the harder the fall, the harder the engagement arm goes into the substrate. Long story short, 20 years ago, what has now become our flagship mobile fall protection cart, the Tri-Rex mobile cart, was born. And it has gone through a series of iterations. And this is a 1,000-pound square, probably the dimension similar to that of a golf cart, about 5 feet long and about 36 to 48 inches wide.
Okay.
And it's very substantial, 1,000 pounds, and it has an engagement arm. And a lot of people think, wow, 1,000 pounds, are you sure it's mobile? And it's a happy medium. You don't want it to be so mobile that it flies over.
Right.
You don't want it to be so substantial that you can't move it.
Yeah.
And we think we've struck that happy medium with 1,000-pound, kind of a English bulldog robust stance and that engagement arm. We're very proud that we've sold over 10,000 units,
Oh, man.
and we don't have a single reported death. We have had some incidents, but nobody has reported an injury, and there's been about 120 of those incidents. And the way that we know that is in our instruction manual. Anytime an incident occurs, we ask that they let us know, and we will send them replacement bushings to ensure that that engagement arm operates the way that it should when it was brand new.
Oh, that's, yes.
So it's kind of significant to do something where you make a difference and you can save a life.
Yeah, and you know, necessity being the mother of invention.
That cliche is a saying for a reason, and that is a great example of exactly that. So not only did Brent and his father get that liability insurance for their own company, and they only used it for themselves for a year or two. And then they're like, maybe there's other people. And I think there were. And in fact, I know that there were, because they were approached by some of those other people in the greater Kansas City area that said, what is that thing you're tying off to? And how do we get one? And obviously they scratched their head and said, well, maybe if we were to manufacture these things, we could sell some.
Outstanding. So and so that was the flagship product. That was the product innovation that kicked it all off. As we look at leading edge safety today, what are the different areas of business that you're in? Like what are the products and services and those kinds of things?
20 years later, we are still here in Kansas City, the heartbeat of America.
That's right.
And we have a 50,000 square foot manufacturing plant, and we have 30 solid trained welders and engineers that are making these products, which include still our flagship fall protection carts, led by the biggest Tri-Rex. I call it the biggest because it supports up to 5 total workers. 3 can be tied off in fall arrest, as we refer to it. 2 additional workers can be tied off in restraint, so they can't quite get to the leading edge. 3 can work on the edge. If they were to fall, it would save them, arrest the fall.
Right.
2 more can be kept up to the leading edge, and so that allows you to tie off 5 workers total. And then we have smaller versions that are 3 workers and then a single user down to just 1 worker. So the mobile fall protection cart lineup has expanded. It is applicable to different scenarios and different quantities of workers. And that will continue to be a big focus of our business, as that mobile solution will always be in existence as long as they're commercial buildings that need re-roofing and work done on them.
Right.
In addition to that, we've become very excited about providing guardrail systems. We have both permanently installed guardrail systems as well as temporary guardrail systems. Some of the temporary guardrail systems are supported either by like a parapet clamp that clamps onto the parapet wall, and then you put uprights and horizontal rails onto it. Or if you don't want to clamp anything or do any penetration to the roof, we have it's about 101 pound weighted base, and we refer to that as a ballasted guardrail system. Okay. And those can be set up and taken down relatively quickly and provide temporary guardrail solutions when a company might be installing a new membrane on a roof or doing whatever roof on the roof they need to do.
Man, so temporary, permanent, fall arrest, leading edge safety, taking care of all of those things. I wonder if as you look at you know the trends, because it's been 20 years now since this has happened. The industry changes, things move differently. Business owners, are they making a shift from that temporary side of things into the permanent side? Because we're always going to have to, I don't know, clean windows. We're always going to have to do some kind of repair. Is that a trend? What's going on there?
I think business owners and safety directors are starting to move, away from a temporary solution to more of a permanent solution. And once they realize that we can powder coat these permanent guardrails to match the facade of their building.
Oh, so it doesn't look like an eyesore.
If you want it to look like that bright safety yellow to flag it, you certainly can. If you want it to blend in and almost have it create some aesthetic appeal to the building, we have one on the top of our building, and it perhaps makes the roof look a little bit more grand. Oh. It looks It looks like it's part of the building. One of the benefits of having it be permanently installed is, to your point, whether it's cleaning a window, an HVAC worker, cleaning the roof at every 20 years or so, adding a new membrane, new insulation. The setup and the tear down of those temporary solutions takes time, takes labor dollars. If you have a permanently installed guardrail, it's one and done. You set it and forget it.
That is it. So you're not only keeping workers safe, but you're also making the architect and designer happy because it doesn't have to stand out and look like, some kind of a
construction zone or
construction
whatever.
zone forever.
Absolutely. Make the building look better. And I think it helps mitigate the risk of the building owner. It helps reduce their liability. And I think perhaps most importantly, it saves lives, and it sends kind of a safety cultural message to the employees and everybody that would be affiliated with that roof, that we take your safety very seriously. It's important to us. We've spent money on it, and we want to take care of you.
Yeah, I've seen that you've been at trade shows, and so you've got your finger on the pulse of what's out there and what's going on. Are there other trends that we need to talk about and mention that you're seeing in the world of safety?
In addition to rooftops, if you think about anywhere where you could fall, and a fall defined by OSHA is 6 feet or greater.
Okay.
And if you think about it, falling 6 feet, like on
That's
your
enough.
shoulder, at 6 feet's enough to do some damage.
Yep.
And one of the areas that is getting more OSHA attention, if you will, is the shoring and the excavation business. When you dig a trench in the ground, OSHA has made it pretty clear that if it's greater than 6 feet, you need to protect that with a trench box so that the earth doesn't cave in on that trench box.
Right.
And that's been common for a number of years. In addition to that, OSHA is becoming more strict, and I think the business owners of these trench boxes are on board that, yeah, that makes sense, that in addition to keeping the earth from caving in, you still have a 6 foot or in some case greater drop. You need guardrail around the top of that trench box. So it has become very much a focus of, within the last year, I would say, of providing a trench box guardrail solution. And we have really gained some momentum in the last 12 months helping companies. We're excited to work with big partners, big rental houses like Herc Rentals. We're working with them currently to try to provide a trench box guardrail solution.
Yeah, so it's you've solved one problem. Now the fall side of that, they're now making that happen. Good to hear.
Exactly. There was not an opportunity to fall prior to digging that trench. There is now.
Yeah.
So how are you going to protect people from falling into it?
Perfect. I know some stories of your core values, and I'd like to see if we can share those stories on the podcast. One of your core values is providing an exceptional customer experience. I was hoping you'd give us a sense of kind of what it's like to work with you guys. Angela Ridpath in our office saw a story come through about, dedication to 100% accuracy and something about a 3-minute kind of turnaround. When somebody comes to the website and does something or is submitting an order, what is that story? How are they living that promise?
Thanks for asking about our core values. It's something that's near and dear to my heart and very much a huge part of our culture. As we like to say, we don't want you to be a psycho, but we want you to be psycho. And you don't spell psycho, P-S-Y-C-H-O. You spell it S-I-C-O, which stands for safety, integrity, customer experience, and operational excellence.
Delightful.
So our third core value is focusing on the customer experience. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. I think it's fun. We all come to work for a number of reasons. We got to pay rent. We got to eat, all those things. In addition to those things, I think it is fun to come to work and make a difference. And you can hear it in the customer's voice when you've made their day better. I think it's very frustrating when you work with a company and they seem indifferent towards you. They kind of almost make you feel as though you are interfering or interrupting their day by asking them a question. And I guess it's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. And it's something that is very important to our culture to do the exact opposite of that and continually tell customers, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the chance to help you. I love the word help. I love the words thank you.
Yeah.
And Corbin Peters, who is just an absolute rock star for us, received a request through HubSpot, which EAG has helped us become very HubSpot savvy. And it was a prospective customer inquiring, and actually they were inquiring and they were submitting a purchase order simultaneously. So they were ready to go and had a couple of questions. And I remember specifically that PO came in at 11:31. It was a week ago today. And at 11:34, so 3 minutes later, Corbin Peters responded and provided this customer email confirmation that their PO did not fall on deaf ears. He did that with the reply to their email. And in that reply was a process sales order referencing their specific PO and proactively told the customer what the shipping turnaround times would be. So and I remember I read that and I got up and I walked over to Corbin's office and I said, dude, a 3 minute turnaround time in this day and age of businesses who many of them unfortunately could take or leave you is phenomenal. Kudos, great job, keep it up. That is awesome, awesome, awesome. So that 3 minute kind of confirmation turnaround time, if I was that customer and I have a lot to do and keeping track of, okay, who did I send that to? And this customer, this company sends back confirmation in 3 minutes. I'm going to be like, I want to do more business with Leading Edge. Can you guys get my groceries while you're at it?
That's right. As long as we're here.
I would love Leading Edge to not only be kind of the front runner in the customer experience in the fall protection industry, but almost a business example of how you take care of customers. Just with passion and eagerness and excitement. It's fun and it makes a difference and it makes the day like you're like, what do you mean? I want to work some more.
That's right.
It's fun.
Let me ask that question about culture, and I was going to ask this in the lightning round, but I may as well. You set it up just perfectly. You're in charge of operations, which brings a lot of efficiency to the table. That operations term is kind of loaded with all of those nuances. But I also see that you've won awards for staying humble. Like that's a crazy kind of thing to have. Talk to me about building a great culture for employees and why that would be important. The other words, in psych,
Exactly.
and building that culture. Tell me about that.
Part of the customer experience is both external as well as internal customers, to your point. And a lot of my focus is on people, process, and systems. And when things don't go the way I think that they should, it is instinctively important that we immediately look at the process as opposed to blaming it on people. What is wrong with the process? And is it broken? Are the steps not there? Are they missing some steps? Or is the process just as tight as could be? And then perhaps the current person that's in that role performing that process, perhaps they need some additional training, or there's a role that might be more well suited for what they like to do and what their skill sets are. So if there's problems, attack the process and work with the people. And then conversely, when things go well, say thank you to the people and don't let the people say, the process is great. No, it was you, Corbin.
Yeah.
You have good processes. You're right. And you were part of creating them, but you executed the process to perfection, Corbin. Thank you. Thank you.
Give credit where credit is due.
Absolutely.
And recognize that
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Try to praise in public and not reprimand, but give corrective criticism in private. And always attack the process to make improvement.
That's right. You mentioned earlier that when an order comes in to some other company, that they can take you or leave you. Winning the labor war and understanding hiring good people is really important to business today. That you can get AI to do a lot of things for you, but people at the end of the day are the ones who are doing that thing and ultimately have to be involved in some part of that process. I don't know that you could ask for more than the Corbins of the world to say, yep, that's it, we've got somebody.
Absolutely.
And
And saying thank you with a specific example is a lot more of a home run than when I think of your AI example, which is a real one. AI will say thank you in kind of a generic way. But if you say thank you, Corbin, for that 3 minute effort, it is so much more impactful than just a generic thank you.
Yeah. Tell me what's next for Leading Edge Safety? What happens from here? Where do you go?
Well, we're going to continue our enthusiasm and excitement working with customers. We're very excited about this new arena for us, the trench box fall protection safety. We have our third trade show of the year coming up. We're heading back to the Paris and Las Vegas for the Western Roofing Expo, where we will continue to spread the good news about Leading Edge and our excitement to help people keep safe. And at Leading Edge, we like to take the first step in safety so you don't take your last step.
I'm just going to leave that hanging right there. It deserves all of that space. Nice. Great tagline. If you're ready for the lightning round, I'll throw you into the lightning round.
All right.
I used one question already.
Let's light it up.
All right, here we go. I watched a video of you from your trade show, the IIBEC, from a year ago. There were 2 comments that were posted on that clip, and I don't know if you know what these comments are. But on say the YouTube clip for it, there are a couple comments, and one is, "That's my brother. Our father would be overjoyed." And the other comment is, "That's my dad." I don't know if the Roofers Coffee Shop show was expecting to see that kind of like fan mail show up on their post, but it makes me want to ask about the family and kind of first, do they really know what you do? I think we struggle with that quite a bit, but do they understand the job that you do, or were they just kind of fans of, hey, I see somebody?
I think that's my dad. I think that was really my real son.
Yeah.
Who's getting married this weekend in Dallas. I'm pretty excited about that.
Outstanding. Congratulations. Yeah.
But ever since he was a little guy, we would have this running joke. That's my dad. That's my dad. And so to your question, do they really know what I do? I think at a detailed, granular level, not so much. But throughout my whole career, they know that dad just likes to figure stuff out and have fun and work with people to make their job better. You know, if you were to say, Steve, what is your job? I would say my job is to remove barriers and block and tackle so that Corbin can be successful. And I thrive on that. It's so fun because I can tell when I'm making a difference. I'd like to think I'm a pretty good study of people and a pretty good character study. And I can tell when Corbin's having a good day and when Corbin's having a bad day. And he for sure has more bad days than good. That's because he's a rock star and he's a hard worker and a smart person. But to a small degree, I hope that he and I working together and great lines of communication. And when he needs help, he's not scared to ask. And together we fix problems and remove barriers so he can continually be successful. I hopefully to some degree that's why my son says that's my dad.
Yeah, but I love that management approach, right? I love I am here to make sure you can be successful. I'm here to move obstacles out of your way. And to be able to recognize that if an employee isn't happy, if there's some kind of obstacle in the way, that they're not going to be as productive, they're not going to be as friendly, they're not going to be like you. It is so difficult to separate those two, and I think the older days of saying, look, you leave that stuff at home. We're here at the job site. I don't know how a person can do that effectively,
especially in the long term. I like to think of things as kind of short term, long term. You know, if the building's on fire, you can shout at me and yell at me to get out of here. But if the building's not on fire and I wasn't supposed to put my notebook here and you yell at me about that, I don't know that long term I'm going to want to continue to work in that environment.
No.
I won't quit that day, but I'm going to be more open minded when Jeff at Jeff's Sandwich Shop says, "Hey, Steve, how's your lettuce dicing skills?"
Exactly.
I'll be like, they're feeling pretty sharp of late. I can spread that mustard with the best of them. Come on, Jeff. Let's make some sandwiches.
Exactly. Yeah, hey, buddy, I'm on the bus until I have an opportunity to be on a better bus.
Exactly.
And that's as far as it goes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Great management style. Let me ask this one. What's the best business advice that you've ever received? Something that sticks with you that you're like, oh, lesson learned, and I'm going to keep that.
I had a very memorable mentor in my career back in the wireless industry. And he, I don't know, it wasn't advice dispensed as I am going to give you advice.
Right.
Because that would be more like sitting in a classroom, but it was more working with him and observing him. He was a very direct, very straight shooter, which isn't a style that's for everybody, but I appreciate it because you knew where you stood. And most importantly about that is he was very fair. And so I kind of observed and learned and watched folks who did well and other teammates who didn't do as well. And there seemed to be a correlation between those that really put their heart and effort into it excelled, and those that were disengaged and really didn't try very hard did not excel. And I guess I appreciated that, and I thought that was fair. And I almost have received that as kind of advice or part of a culture. Listening to myself say that, it sounds a little old school or a little strict, and I don't think that's my point as much as you have to apply yourself, and you got to try, take things seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have a good time and be happy and fix problems, and eventually it's going to make its way to the end customer. I'm just a big advocate of customer as two ways. It's internal customer and external customer. And to your point, if internal customers or employees are not really having a good time at work, yet the senior leadership expects it to make it have a great customer experience externally, that is short-sighted, not going to work.
Yeah, if I don't have a good time one week, my heart may not be in it the next. If my heart's not in it the next, maybe I start to call in sick. It's just a path.
Absolutely it is. And I wish that companies that, for whatever reason, choose or don't have the experience or the advice or the aptitude to recognize that, I wish that for their sake that can change and they will start to recognize that.
Yeah. Let's talk about celebration for a minute. Let's imagine that you have some big sale that has happened or new innovation product just launched. Because you guys do a lot of that kind of thing too. You're always thinking about new ways to do stuff. How do you celebrate a big win? What is it that you do?
It is a lot of verbal thank yous. It's a lot of email thank yous. It's a little bit of not playful banter and embarrassment for everybody's birthday. Something that we've been doing of late is we're printing 11 by 17 on tabloid, big old things. AI is a dream. You just cut and paste a picture off of Facebook, put it in an AI and say, "Happy birthday, Jeff," and put him with on a golf course at Augusta. And I remember it was actually Corbin's birthday last Friday, and I printed like 20 of those, put them all over the office. He couldn't go to the urinal without being, oh my God, happy birthday. So anything, and that surprise, that will run its course, but always looking for ideas, asking how do other companies do it. I think celebrating is a huge part of that culture that we're referring to. You got to celebrate your wins. You got to say thank you. We like to buy lunches for the team, take them to Chipotle. Travis, our vice president of operations, took Corbin to Chipotle. Of all the places, that's where Corbin wanted to go last week, so he went to Chipotle.
We've talked about Corbin quite a bit. I just want to say that, for anybody who's hoping to poach Corbin, that's not his real name. We've definitely changed that.
We did change his name. It's not Corbin.
That's right.
And it's not Jeff the sandwich maker.
That's right.
But Jeff's sandwiches are very good.
None of these things are true. Let's see. You mentioned Augusta. I did want to ask a question because we talked about golf before the recording. Is there a dream golf trip, golf tournament you want to watch? What is that bucket list for golf?
I have been following the Masters and watching the Augusta National Hilly Experience since I started golf when I was 19, so 35 years ago. Augusta National is absolutely a bucket list, wish list. You asked me earlier who I think is going to win, and I think I will not go against DraftKings and say anybody other than Scotty Scheffler.
They know for a reason. Yeah.
I also said I would like to see Rory McIlroy defend his title, but I think the most heartfelt story in the entire world, and he'll probably pass out, would be the Gary Woodland, our local KU graduate, and he hadn't won prior to 2 weeks ago since the 2019 U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. He, as the story goes, had a brain tumor, had that taken out, and he's really struggled with some PTSD, which he has publicly come out and said. And when he won 2 weeks ago in Houston, he said, "I hope nothing more than my accomplishment of combating something that was really hard for me, living my dream and winning a golf tournament, I hope that that can influence somebody else who's battling something to stand up and fight their fight and go live their dreams. If Gary Woodland would to win the Masters this Sunday, it would be the most emotional.
Oh, man.
There won't be a dry eye in my house.
That's true.
There really, we actually got grabbed some Kleenex 2 weeks ago when he won the Houston Open, because he was very emotional. He didn't know if he was going to live, let alone walk, let alone ever golf again. And here he is, 2 years from the surgery, winning a golf tournament.
And at that level, like there are so many factors there. Watching him win, like, have you been to the Masters? Is that
I have never been, so seeing that course is a bucket list. Yes,
man. I hope that for you, and many times I have not been either. That's also a bucket list, but I agree. Let me go with last question in the lightning round, and it's going to be a desert island movie. That movie you could watch every single time it's on, no matter what. This is if you flip through channels and it's on, you are watching that movie.
Dodgeball.
Classic.
with Whitey Goodman.
Nice.
I am not good at dodgeball. I don't know anything about dodgeball, but Vince Vaughn is talk about an example of humility. Somebody that kind of came from not much. And what was his gym called? Average Joe's, I believe it was.
Average Joe's.
And everybody on that team was kind of a misfit. It was almost the Bad News Bears of dodgeball. We had Pirate Steve. I'm not a pirate. You're not a pirate, Steve. Dodgeball just has a soft spot in my heart. It's humorous. It's quirky. It's completely random. And it's just a really good, funny, comedy, heartfelt movie.
As long as you know where the line is from a management style, and that you don't walk into the office one day throwing wrenches at people and say, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. No,
exactly.
Well, not that.
Exactly.
All right. I will take you out of the lightning round. There's nothing. You've succeeded. You've successfully made it through the lightning round.
Well, that was enjoyable. Thank you.
Good. Well, so tell everybody where they can find you if they want to know more about leading edge safety. Where do they go? Where should they find you?
You can pick up the phone and dial 888-990-2990, or you can go to leadingedgesafety.net.
That works. All right, Steve Hammond, Chief Operating Officer for Leading Edge Safety. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Talk about strategies and all the capabilities, building all your hopes and dreams and all the possibilities. It ain't rocket surgery, but maybe it is. Come on down, we're gonna sit around, we're gonna get into your business.